Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. In the name of his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, who the world inwardly calls Jesus, a so-called black man. St. Matthew 24, verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. That's right. So why did I bring out these two scriptures, these two verses? Because it was brought to my attention by seeing something on one of the YouTube channels, a news channel, that there's something sinister that's going on in this world right now, and it's against us, and it's trying to keep us from fully understanding what's going on. And I'm going to show you that video that I saw that substantiate that. Before then, let's read this over again. St. Matthew 24, verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. That's right. And that's what we're going to go and witness in this new video clip. Well, it's not new. It's been around for a couple of years now, but it's been brought to my attention recently that there's something sinister that's going on, and we're going to go see that in detail, what I'm talking about. And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. That's right, because they know it's time for them to give up that power. They know they got to relinquish it. And pursuing to Isaiah 47, verse 3, Yahweh Shai is not coming back to meet them as a man. We can get that too and read that. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Let's go to Isaiah 47 and see what he says about how he's coming back to meet them. Isaiah 47, and what is it? Verse number 3. We can go to verse 1. This is Isaiah 47, verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. So this country that we are in, Babylon, spiritually, America, is getting exposed. Because for the longest, people thought that this was the most, liberated country, like the best country in the world for its freedom and democracy, but it's getting exposed in these last days. Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. And this place is getting exposed for all of its shame and wickedness in these last days. What else does it say? I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. That's right. So he's coming back, and he's not going to meet them as a man. And he's not coming back as a lamb either. He's coming back as a lion. He's coming back to take over these other nations. So back in St. Matthew chapter 24, when it says, what? Verse 30? And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. You know why? And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. That's right. So one more chapter, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the video that I was talking about. And we're going to get that in St. Matthew chapter 5. Verse 18 and probably down to 19. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law to all be fulfilled. And that's what they're trying to accomplish with this video I'm going to show you, and this technology they're trying to unveil and bring out and use other ideas to back this up, showing you like it's going to be best for the climate and all that other kind of stuff. But in actuality, there's something more sinister behind that. And unless you know what they're doing and why they're doing it, just on the on the surface, you'll believe it and take it at their face value. So what does it say in 19? Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he should be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same should be called great in the kingdom of heaven. That's right. So if they can get this prophecy to not take place, they can keep you, from obtaining that kingdomship. So it says, verily I say unto you, to heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, to all be fulfilled. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get heaven and earth to pass. They're trying to make it to where the sun no longer shines down on earth, and neither does the moon. And I'm going to show you that clip, what I'm talking about, so you can see for yourself, see exactly what I'm talking about. So by that, the law will pass, and we will no longer be under grace or anything that could keep us from the hands of these wicked people who are bearing rule right now. So I'm going to go ahead and play this little clip and let you see what I'm talking about for yourself.
Billions out of creating super clunky corporate software. What you didn't realize is that Bill Gates doesn't think of himself that way. Bill Gates doesn't think of himself as some guy who got super rich making bad software. Bill Gates thinks of himself as God, in control of the solar system. And that's why Bill Gates is now backing something called sun-dimming technology that would reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, causing global cooling. Ooh, that's not fraught with risks. You thought gain-of-function research on pathogens was dangerous. Try that. But that doesn't stop Harvard University. Its scientists are testing that technology by spewing calcium carbonate dust into the atmosphere.
Bill Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth. It's called solar geoengineering, and it's highly controversial. It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface. It would mimic a giant volcanic eruption, which we know cools the Earth.
That's how they're trying to get the heaven and earth to pass, by blocking the sun. And not only that, but, they got this machine called HARP that can manipulate the weather, and it wouldn't be, it wouldn't surprise me that the recent chain of events that's happening in the Caribbean was caused by this HARP machine to manipulate the geo-atmosphere involving these volcanoes, which we know that the ash that spews up from the volcanoes can actually block the sun as well. So they know the sun, is vital in vitamin D, giving our bodies, certain nutrients to sustain us. So by blocking off the sun, and even the moon for that fact, it could weaken our immune system, have us subjected to whatever virus they put out in these scenarios or whatever. So it's clear to me that this is a sinister plot to destroy the children of Israel, and whoever else that it takes to get to us, even if it's their own kind. So, like it says in 2 Corinthians 2:11, lest Satan should get advantage of us. We got to look into these things and see what's going on, because there's something sinister behind with these big corporations and whoever else is in, ties with them are up to. So we got to look and see just exactly what's going on, because we're going to be like that crouching lion, man. We're going to be destroyed. So let's see what else it says, if we have anything else to say.
Now, just to restate, Bill Gates is not God. Bill Gates is some kind of weird, socially awkward rich guy who lives in Seattle. He doesn't own the planet, but he's now changing the planet single-handedly. This is not just over his yard in Seattle. This is over your yard and our oceans and the whole planet.
All right, that's about it on that there. So, yeah, chapter 5 in St. Matthew, verse 18, "For verily I say unto you, to heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall no wise pass from the law, to all be fulfilled." So if they can get that heaven and earth to pass, they can manipulate the law and make it to where you can be sinning willfully and not even know it, and having you in a longer state of captivity. So, just gotta, well, let me go get it and show you for yourself, because if you don't know by now, you're going to find out shortly. 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. "Lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices." That's right. And you got to do your research and keep up as much as you can, as much as you can, to see what's going on, and not take everything that you see at its surface value. Sometimes you got to dig a little bit deeper in that and, measure it up against the word. Pursuing to 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, I believe. "Study to show thyself approved unto," 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, "Study to show thyself approved unto God, the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." That's right. So you got to study. When you see these articles or you see things, you got to know that there's another meaning behind it. Like, you just can't take it at its surface value. Sometimes you got to go and dig a little bit deeper and find out what's going on. So we're going to close out with 1 Peter and take it from there. 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse number 8. "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." And if you're just taking things at its surface level and not doing your research, or not listening to any kind of, warning before you, and you just believe it for whatever it is, then, like it says, Satan is looking for what? Whom he may devour. So if you ain't under that hedge and you ain't protected, you very well may be what? Devoured by whom? Satan. It tells you in Amos 3:6. Before I close out, that what? "Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid?" That's right. So if you hear a warning in the city, should you not be afraid? You should. You should take heed and take whatever preliminary precautions you need to. "Should there be evil in a city, and Yahweh have not done it?" Right. So if you've been warned and you don't take heed, then the evil that comes to you is on you, because you didn't take heed. You had the measurements to take the heed. You didn't listen to it. Now what? Now that lion can devour you. Pursuing to what? 1 Peter chapter 5. Let's read that one more time, and then we're going to close out on that. 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. "Be sober," so you could take heed when you hear that trumpet. "Be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour." Whatever calamity or evil thing happened to you because you didn't take heed and you didn't hear that trumpet, okay, now you understand. Yahweh gave you as many opportunities as you can while you still could seek him out, and you didn't choose to seek him out. You chose to go about your everyday life just thinking that nothing would never change and nothing would never happen to you and everything would go back to the way it was. But now you have found yourself in some kind of evil situation or calamity, and now you asking, just give me one more chance, Lord. I should have took heed. I should have listened to, your servants when they was giving out the word and dividing it rightfully and truthfully. But now what? It's too late. That roaring lion, he done caught you. He done caught you slipping, for lack of better words. So now you got to be devoured. I pray that it don't happen to you, but if you don't take heed and listen and hear that trumpet when it's blowing, then it is what it is. So we're going to read this one more time. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. So with that being said, Shalom.